Today I'm going to discuss about classical encryption techniques. We have studied various techniques already. This is in this lecture I am continuing classical encryption techniques. Uh, Earlier we have discussed about substitution techniques. Now I am going to discuss about various techniques like Hill cipher technique, polyalphabetic technique, name cipher, OTP. So many techniques are there that I am going to discuss today. Let's discuss all the techniques one by one. So first of all, what is the objective of learning same? So the Hill cipher. If I'm talking about the Hill cipher technique, as the name implies, Hill cipher, it makes use of modulo arithmetic. As I told you earlier, like cryptography is based on mathematical concepts. Like we are supposed to use various algorithms here, and in order to use various algorithms, we are supposed to deal with various concepts of mathematics like matrix, arithmetic, modulus, matrix multiplication, matrix inverse. So these are some mathematical things that we are going to use when we are dealing with Hill cipher as well, like modulo arithmetic, matrix multiplication, matrix inverse. So it is more mathematical cipher than other because so many techniques are involved here, and the Hill cipher is also a block cipher. So theoretically, it can work on arbitrary sized block. Arbitrary means to say there is a no fixed uh, defined length in order to select a particular block. It could be of arbitrary size. So what would be the outcome at the end of the lecture? We will be learning a new technique, how to apply cryptography. It could be a new technique, or I can say it could be more than one technique. Like it could be OTP, it could be Hill cipher, or it could be name cipher. It could be any of the technique that we will be going to learn when we are studying in this lecture. So first of all, what is basically Hill cipher? What is basically Hill cipher? As the name implies, Hill cipher, it is a polygraphic substitution cipher that is based on linear algebra, and each letter is represented by modulo 26. As I told you earlier in previous lecture, why we are taking modulo 26? Because there are total 26 characters that we are going to take, so that is why we are going to take modulo 26. The simple scheme is like A will be represented by 0, B will be represented by 1, C will be represented by 2, and Z will be represented by 25. And this scheme is used, but this is not an essential feature of the cipher. In order to encrypt a message, each block of n letters considered as an n component vector, it could be multiplied by an invertible n into n matrix against modulo 26. So to decrypt the message, each block is multiplied by the inverse of the matrix that is used for the encryption. Obviously, decryption is the invert process of the encryption. Same is the case here, that we might have dealt with various previous algorithms that we have considered. So the matrix used for encryption is the cipher key, and it should be chosen randomly from the set of invertible n into n matrix that could be there with the help of modulo 26. That could be multiplied with the same. For example, if we will be having any input, it could be any plain text that could be given to us, and after applying the key, because if we are given a plain text, there could be a key that could be associated with the same, and after using that key with the plain text, we are going to convert that input into output. So that could be our cipher text. So how we are going to do the same with the help of the matrix, that is 5 is to 5 matrix? It depends on you, or it depends on the requirement of the underlying algorithm, how we are going to select the matrix multiplication. Like it could be 3 is to 3, it could be 5 is to 5, or it could be 6 is to 6. So it all depends on the requirement. So if I am talking about more about Hill cipher in detail, then what could be the same? Like it was developed by mathematician Lester Hill in 1929. And the strength is that it completely hides single letter frequencies. That is, the use of larger matrix hides more frequency information. That is, a 3 is to 3 Hill cipher hides not only single letter but also two letter frequency information. But it is strong against a cipher text only attack, and it could be easily broken if we already know the plain text. Next, this is the practical example of Hill cipher. Like this example, we rely on some linear algebra and some number theory. The key for the Hill cipher is the matrix, that is this one, 2, 4, 5. Now, how we are going to select 2, 4, 5? Whatever the key that is being given to us, we are converting that character into the mathematical form. Like if it is 2, it means in A, B, C, D, it is C. If it is 4, then it is E. If it is 5, then it is F. So same is the case here. We are supposed to arrange the characters, arrange the numbers in the matrix form so that it would be easy for us to imply the mathematical formula here. So in the above case, we have taken the size to be 3:3 matrix, and it can be of the any size as long as it is square. It could be 5:5, it could be 10:10, it could be 12:12, that could be 144. So the more we are adding to the matrix multiplication, the more complex it is to find the ciphertext of the underlying algorithm. So same is the case here. If it is very easy multiplication or it is very easy to compute the same, then we can easily compute the underlying password or whatever the technique that we are going to use. It is highly vulnerable. But if we are adding complexity to the same, then risk is getting less. So this can be applied to the any size as long as it is a square. So assume that we want to encipher the message attack at dawn. So this is the message that we want to encipher. So to encipher this, we need to break the message into chunks of 3. Now chunks of 3 mean to say either we are going to convert it into diagrams or we are converting into the trigrams. Now here we are taking chunk of 3. Chunk of 3 mean to say we are going to convert the message into the trigram. Trigram mean to say so that it could create a matrix of the 3:3. That is why it is 3. If I am taking a matrix of 5:5, then it could be a chunk of 5. If I am taking a matrix of, then it could be a chunk of 6. Now we are going to take the chunk of 3 first because we are dealing with the basics here. So that is why we have taken a very simple example of 3:3 matrix. We now take the first 3 characters from our plain text, that is ATT. So ATT will be represented and it could be we will be creating a vector that corresponds to the letter, that is replace A with 0, B with 1 and Z with 25 to get 0, 19, 19, because ATT, if I am going to write the same, then A will be represented 0, B will be represented by 1, but I am talking about T here, so T will be represented by 19. Again there is a T, repetition of the T, then it is going to be represented with the help of the numeric number 19. So this is my key, ATT. Now I am going to calculate the same. So how I am going to calculate the same? This is that is being defined here. Now to get our ciphertext, we perform a matrix multiplication. You may need to revise matrix multiplication if it does not make any sense to you, because you might have studied about the same in your maths class. So this is the message that is being given to me, that is 2, 4, 5, 9 to 1. You can convert it into characters with the help of ABCD. 9 to 1, 3, 17, 7. I am going to multiply the same with the help of ATT, that is the key that is given to me, and it is the first chunk of the message. So that is 0, 19 and 19. Now I am going to apply matrix multiplication. Now 2 into 0 plus 4 into 19 plus 5 into 19, which is equal to 171. Same is the case here with the second row, that is 9 into 0 plus 2 into 19 plus 1 into 19. It is equal to 57. Then 3 into 0 plus 17 into 19 plus 7 into 19, which is equal to 456. After getting the result, I am going to multiply the same with the help of modulo 26. 171 modulus of 26, which is equal to 15. 57 modulus of 26, which is equal to 5. 456 into modulus of 26, which is equal to 14. So this is my text that I am going to represent, or I can say this is my generated ciphertext. That is, ATT is converted into PFO. 15 is representing P, 5 is representing F, and 14 is representing O. So in that manner, I am going to convert the plain text into the ciphertext with all the chunks that are being given in the message. So this is the representation, or I can say this is the example of the first chunk that is being given to you for your reference. You can apply the same as it is to the remaining chunks that are there in the message. The procedure is same. You will be getting the ciphertext in the end. Now, in order to invert the same, or I can say in order to apply the decryption process, same is the case here. I am going to invert the matrix. Like I am going to find the inverse of the matrix, then it will be representing PFO. With the help of PFO will be converted into ATT again. So this is the process of the encryption and decryption if I am going to use the technique Hill cipher here. So this process is performed for all the 3-letter blocks in the plain text, and the plain text may have to be padded with some extra letters to make sure that there is a whole number of blocks. Now what does this mean? It means that if the plain text ends at a letter, only single letter is left, but I am going to create a chunk of 3. So how I am going to manage the same? I can insert new bits randomly to the same matrix so that it is justifying the chunk representation, because it is consists of 3 letters. So I am going to insert 2 letters from my side so that it is generating the formula, or it is justifying the definition of the formula that is being used in this technique. So same is the case here. I am going to insert new bits or new characters with the letter that is being left alone, so that the representation, or I can say the formula that is being used in the first instance, it is not violated when I am reaching the last instance. So this is the case here that we are going to consider. Now, if I am going to talk about decryption here for the tricky part, that is we need to find the inverse matrix modulo 26 to use as our decryption key. That is, you can have a look at the same ACK. Now, what does ACK means? ACK means to say like A will be represented by 0, C will be represented by 2, and K will be represented by 10 in mathematics. Now, I am going to apply the same thing on the formula. Now we want something that will take PFO back to ATT. Now, if we are using 3 by 3 matrix, or I can say key matrix, then it is called K, and our decryption key will be 3 by 3 matrix, that is K inverse. Now I am going to find the K inverse into modulus of 26, that is 15 inverse into modulus of 26, 5 inverse into modulus of 26, 14 inverse into modulus of 26, that is converted again into 0, 19 and 19, that is equal to A, T and T. So ciphertext is converted into the plain text again. So this is the whole procedure of and decryption if I am going to use Hill cipher technique. Now, to find the K inverse, we have to use a bit of maths. It turns out that K inverse above can be calculated from our key. So this is very simple process, or I can say the matrix computation is only there, and you are going to handle the Hill cipher technique with the help of the same. So the next technique is polyalphabetic cipher. As the name implies, poly means to say many alphabetics will be replaced. Many alphabetic will be substituted, because it is a kind of substitution technique or substitution cipher. So what is basically polyalphabetic cipher? It is a substitution cipher, also called Wigner cipher, or I can say the example of polyalphabetic cipher is Wigner cipher, and it was it was developed by mathematician Wigner in 16th century, and it was adapted as a twist on the standard of the Caesar cipher to reduce the effectiveness of frequency analysis on the ciphertext, because Caesar cipher was limited to shift 3, shift 4. How many shifts you could be applied to the same, because it is very easy to guess the same. So that is why polyalphabetic cipher came into the picture. So all these techniques have the like one common feature, like a set of related monoalphabetic substitution rule is used, because in every cipher technique, or I can say in every substitution cipher, I am going to use some common rules that are common throughout the substitution cipher. The one is I'm supposed to use certain rules that are associated with that particular cipher. For example, if I'm going to use Caesar cipher, then there are certain rules that I'm going to follow for the same. In order to implement the same, some rules must be followed. On the other hand, if I'm talking about monoalphabetic cipher, polyalphabetic cipher, Hill cipher, then each technique is having its own rules that are supposed to be followed. So same is the case here. If I am talking about polyalphabetic cipher, then certain rules will be there that I am supposed to follow for the algorithm. So a key determines which particular rule is chosen for a given transformation, because it depends on the key that I am going to choose. What would be the rule that I am going to use, because there could be 3 rules, there could be 4 rules. If you remember, in the previous class, we have used a technique called polyalphabetic cipher, in which, like, it was a technique in which there were 3 rules that were being given. That is, if 2 characters are in the same row, if 2 characters are in the same column, so these are kind of rules that we are going to follow, and we are supposed to choose the rules according to the key that is being given to us. So same was the case in that technique that we have discussed earlier. So same is the case here in polyalphabetic technique or polyalphabetic cipher. We are going to follow some rules. Its example is Wigner cipher. How we are going to use the same? We are supposed to draw a 26:26 table, because there are total 26 letters, and we are supposed to deal with all the 26 letters. Because why we are going to write 26 all? Because it is poly. Poly mean to say many combinations will be allowed. So in order to justify all the combinations, we are supposed to take all the characters that are total 26. So it could be with A to Z as a row heading and column heading. This table is usually referred to as Wigner table or Wigner scale. So the first row of this table has 26 English letters, and starting with the second row, like if I am starting in the first row from A through Z, then in second row I am starting from B, then through Z, then last letter will be, or last cell will be occupied with the A letter that is left alone in the first instance. Next, I am starting counting from C letter from the first row and third row and first column. So C through Z, then AB. Similarly, D through Z, then ABC. So same is the case here. You can have a look at the representation, or I can say pictorial representation of the same, how we are going to arrange 26 letters in rows and columns. So this is the pictorial representation. We are starting from A through Z. The one column is missing here. You can draw it at your own. Next, this is the B row, in which we are going to start the letters from B through Z. Then there will be a in the end. Again, C will be followed by AB. D will be followed by A, B, and C. E will be followed by A, B, C, D. F will be followed by A, B, C, D, E. So in the same manner, if we are going through all the letters, then Z will be represented from Z, because this is the Zth row, and Z will be starting from the Z. Then all the preceding letters would be following the same, that is A, B, C, D, whatever the letters could be there, or whatever the letters that are left behind, we will be filling the cells with the same spaces. So this is the pictorial representation. Now the question is how we are going to implement the same practically. So this is the question that is being given to us. Like, it consists of the alphabets that is written out 26 times in different rows. Each alphabet shifted cynically to the left compared to the previous alphabet, corresponding to the 26 possible Caesar ciphers. For example, suppose the plain text to be encrypted is attack at dawn. So what is the plain text? That is attack at dawn. Now the keyword is lemon. Now I am going to repeat the keyword, that is lemon. A will be represented by L, T will be represented with the help of T. Against T there is E, against T again there is M, against A there is O. But I am supposed to repeat the key till the last letter of the plain text. So lemon, lemon, it is repeated twice, but again, when I am going to start the key third time, then W will be represented by L and N will be represented by E. And remaining letters will not be there because they could be discarded because our plain text ended there. So how we are going to generate the cipher text here? Now we are going to see A and L in the representation of this one. A and L. A column and L row. It will be represented by, wherever there is a junction, we are going to conclude, or I can say we are going to retrieve that letter and that could be replaced with the ciphertext. So that is our ciphertext. A column and L row, that is L. So that is why it is L. Next, T and E. T and E. This is T at the junction T and E. T row, or sorry, T column and E row. At the junction we are getting X. So that is why it is given X here. You can have a look at the same. Next is T and M. So T and M. It is F that could be represented as the ciphertext. Next is A and O. A and O. It will be represented by O. A and O will be represented by O. Next is C and N. C and N. It will be represented by P. So it will be represented by P here. Next is C and N. Sorry, K and L. K and L junction. So it is represented with the help of V. K and L is V. That is why it is V. K and L is V. Then A and E. What does A and E represent? A and E is represented with the help of E. So it is E here. A and E. Then T and M. This one is T and this one is M. F. It could be represented with F. Next is D and O. D and O. It will be represented by R. D, O. A, N. A and N. It will be represented by N. Then W and L. W column and L is the row. W and L. It is represented by H. So that is why it is written H here. And last is N and E. N and E. It is R. So at the junction we are getting R here. So in the same manner, we have converted the plain text by using key into the ciphertext. So this was the procedure for the same. We are supposed to draw this table first. This one column is missing here, and you are supposed to check plain text and key, one word from plain text and one word from key. And at the junction, whatever the character that is there or whatever the word that you might encounter, that could be your ciphertext. So what is basically polyalphabetic cipher? As you might have seen that it is any cipher that is based on substitution using multiple substitution alphabets, and the Wingate cipher is probably the best known example of the polyalphabetic cipher because it is a simplified special case. But the Enigma machine is more complex but is still fundamentally a polyalphabetic substitution cipher. Next is Vername cipher in cryptography. What is basically Vername cipher? It is a method of encrypting alphabetic text. Obviously, we are using same techniques, but with different formulas, with different techniques, with different rules. So it is one of the transposition technique. Now, what is transposition? Transposition means to say we are supposed to change the position of the text. We are supposed to change the position of the text. Till now, we have not done any technique that is based on transposition. Now we are going to discuss about transposition technique, and the main example of transposition is rail fence. Now in that case, how we are going to arrange the letters, like whatever the text that is being given to us, we will be arranging it in the row wise. We will be arranging it in the row wise, like for in first row there could be the first letter, in second row in the second column there will be the second letter, in third row and third column there will be the third, like we are supposed to arrange the text diagonally. Then after arranging the text diagonally, we are going to read the text row wise. Whatever the text that is being there, we will be reading it row wise. Number of characters that could be there in the first row, they could be written first, then it could be followed by the second row, then it is followed by the third row. So in that manner, we are going to deal with the transposition technique. So what is basically Vername cipher? It is a method of encrypting alphabetic text, and it is one of the transposition technique for converting a plain text into ciphertext. So in this mechanism, we will be assigning a number to each character, like A is equal to 0, B is equal to 1, C is equal to 2. So in that manner, Z will be equal to 25. Now there is a method to take key. So we will be taking a key to encrypt the plain text, which length should be equal to the length of the plain text. Now what is the encryption algorithm for the same? Like assign a number to each character of the plain text, like A is equal to 0, B is equal to 1, C is equal to 2. And the key according to the alphabetic order. Add both the numbers that is corresponding to the plain text number and key character number. Subtract the number from 26 because there are total 26 letters. If the added number is greater than 26, if it is not, then leave it. Subtract the number from 26, then there is a condition that is being attached with the same. Subtract only when if the added number is greater than 26. If it is not, then leave it. So this is the theoretical description of Vername cipher. It is a symmetrical stream cipher, best known and one of the simplest polyalphabetic substitution cipher technique example, in which the plain text is combined with a random or pseudo-random stream of data, that is the key stream of the same length, to generate the ciphertext using the Boolean XOR function. And the Vername cipher is based on the principle that each plain text character from a message is mixed with one character from a key string. So the result will be a truly random ciphertext which bears no relation to the original plain text. So this is the case here. So this is the example of the Vername cipher. That is, the principle of Vername cipher is perhaps easier explained by looking at the message that is stored on the punched paper tape. in the example below, like we want to transmit the word hello, which is stored on the plain text tape. We also have a pre-recorded key tape with the series of random characters. Like we are going to choose key randomly. That is not the case that there is certain rule or a fixed rule that is being used for selecting a key. No, we are taking the key randomly. H is in corresponding to H, there will be letter A, E, X, L, H. Then next, again there is a L that will be represented by J and O will be represented by B. Now have a look at the same. That is, the contents of the plain text tape are now XORed with the contents of the key tape. The result KMIVE is shown here as the ciphertext. Hello is the plain text. H plus A. H, you can count the H. D, E, F, E, H. It is, I think, 7. 7 plus 0. Just wait. I am telling you the mathematical concept behind the same. First, take H. H is mathematically represented with the help of just wait. H will be H is 7 plus A is equal to 0. 7 plus 0, which is equal to 7. Now there was a condition that was being attached with the same. If it is equal to 26, then we are going to subtract the same. If it is greater than 26, then we are supposed to leave the same. So subtract the number from 26 if the added number is greater than 26, but the added number is less than 26. So H plus A, you can do it mathematically, practically. H plus A is equal to K according to me, and E plus X is equal to M because here number is greater than 26. L plus H is equal to I. L plus, after applying it is not the case that you are going to apply plain text plus key. No, you are supposed to look at the 26 modulo, because if it is greater than 26, then you are going to subtract the same, otherwise you are going to leave the same and you will be writing the character here. Whatever the mathematical representation for the same, you are converting the mathematical into the character form and you will be writing the results here. So same is the case here. Hello will be XORed with AXHJB, and we are supposed to apply the rule here. After applying the rule here, we will be converting the same into the ciphertext. That is, hello will be represented by KMIVE. So this is the mixing of the plain text and the key. So this is some theoretical points that are being concerned with one name cipher. Now let us see what happens if we repeat this operation on the resulting ciphertext tape with letter KMIV, like we are supposed to decrypt the process. So in the illustration above, the ciphertext tape is on the left and it is XORed with a copy of the original key tape, whatever it is, and resulting into the original plain text hello. So how does this process takes place? Have a look at the same. So this process of applying the XOR operation of text and key is often called mixing, and the cipher machines that use the Vername principle are therefore known as mixer. So this is the ciphertext KMIB, K plus A. Again, it is converting it into the H, M plus X. After applying the mathematical rule as well, it is getting converted into the E, I plus H, and plus rule, mathematic rule, it is converted into the L, V plus J, it is getting converted into the L, and E plus B, it is getting converted into the O. So these are the things, this is the principle that we are going to follow when we are dealing with decryption process. Just it is the opposite of the encryption. So this was about mixing of the ciphertext and the key with the human eye, so that we will be generating the plain text again. So this was the practical procedure of converting the plain text into ciphertext and ciphertext into the plain text again. That is called decryption. So this is the pictorial representation of the Vername cipher, in which there is a key stream generator. That could be plain text is XORed with the key, and after applying the key to the plain text, it is getting converted into the ciphertext, and ciphertext, after applying the key to the same, it is getting converted into the plain text. So this is the simple practical procedure of the Vername cipher. Next is OTP. So what is basically OTP? That is the improvement to the Vername cipher proposed by an army signal officer, Joseph. Then it can use a random key that is as long as the message, so that the key need not to be repeated, and it is used to encrypt and decrypt a single message, and then it is discarded. So each new message requires a new key of the same length as the new message. So what is basically OTP? Whatever, because it is having the expiry date, its duration could be valid for 10 minutes. It could not be there for 10 minutes. Actually, it is there for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 50 seconds, or 1 minute, but not more than that. Because it depends on the requirement, it depends on the type of message that we are going to use. So it could be maximum 1 minute, not more than the same, because after 1 minute, it will automatically generate the new OTP for the requested message. So it could be done with the help of the modulo addition. That is, the technique is used to combine the key and the message, and using modulo addition, the numeric values of the corresponding message and the key letters are added together, modulo 26. So if the key material begins with XMCKL and the message is hello, then the coding would be done as the follow. How it could be done? This one is the practical example. This is the plain text. Now plain text, H is represented 7, E is represented by 4. So in the same manner, O is represented by 14. Now we are going to take the key, that is XMCKL. X is represented by 23. So 23 plus 7, which is equal to 30. 12 plus 4, 16. So in the same manner, 14 plus 11, that is 25. So plain text plus key into modulus of 26, which is equal to 4. Plain text, that is 30. 30 plus plain text plus key, and that is 30. 30 into modulus of 26, which is equal to 4. 16 into modulus of 26, which is 16. 13 into modulus of 26, which is 13. 21 into modulus of 26, which is 21. 25 into modulus of 26, which is 25. So what would be my result? That is 4 is represented by E. Q16 is having alphabetic representation Q. N is having, or 13 is having representation of N, 21 is having V, and 25 is represented by Z. So this is the way how we are going to convert plain text into ciphertext by using OTP technique. This is the practical representation of the same. So if a number is larger than 26, then the remainder after subtraction of the 26 is taken in. So this is the condition that is being given with this rule or with this technique. Next is, there could be some difficulties when we are dealing with OTP technique. What could be those? The one-time patch offer complete security, but in practice, it could have fundamental two difficulties. There is the practical problem of making large quantities of random keys, and heavily used system might require millions of random characters on regular basis. Mammoth key distribution problem, what is the same? Like for every message that is to be sent, a key of equal length is needed by both sender and the receiver. And because of these difficulties, the one-time of the limited utility and useful mainly for low bandwidth channels that require very high security. So this was all about today's class, in which we have discussed various techniques like polyalphabetic cipher, OTP, Burnham cipher, that was the example of the polyalphabetic cipher, Wingate cipher, Hill cipher. So we have discussed these techniques and the practical implementation of these techniques, how we are going to use this technique if we are dealing with the process of encryption, and on the other hand, if we are going to deal with the process of decryption. So this was all about today's class. Next is reference is given, where you can find the links for the same techniques, like practical examples will be there and you can have a look at the same. The reference links are given, you can copy the same or you can take a snapshot for the same. Next is 10 MCQs are given. You can have a look at 10 MCQs, and at the end of the lecture, you are supposed to submit the 10 answers on my email ID. Have a look at all the 10 questions that are related to today's class. These are the first 3 questions, and each question is having 4 choices, and you are supposed to pick any one answer that is correct. In the same manner, you are supposed to attempt 10 questions, and after the completion of the same, you are supposed to submit the answers. These are the first 3 questions. These are the next 3 questions. You can take a snapshot or you can write the same. These are the next 3 questions. This one is the 10th question. So this was all about my today's class. If you are having any query, then you can ask me any question. So this was all about my today's class. Thank you. Have a nice day.